Rev up your engines!
Reese Johnson says, Scotty, what are your thoughts of the Hummer 123 series? Are they reliable cars or endless money pits? Big fan. Okay, well, you know, they stopped making them. They used to make them down the street in Shreveport, Louisiana, for me here in Houston. They were an interesting thing, you know. I mean, basically, they're kind of like a civilian version of the Hummers that the Army's using and stuff. But for the private sector, they were pretty much endless money pits. I've got a customer with one. It's always breaking down. And with the gasoline engines, they were kind of underpowered for the vehicle. The diesel engines, yeah, they're going to last a lot longer. There's no arguing that, but they're tremendous gas hogs, too. You know, the Army doesn't care about gasoline. They're driving tanks around, for Christ's sake. They don't care. But for an average vehicle to drive around, you can pick them up pretty cheap now, though, because their values, since they stopped making it, kind of plummeted. If you want something like that, it's going to be a toy. You're going to drive it, you know, hundreds or a couple thousand miles a year. Go ahead, but don't think it's going to be dependable, reliable. Sam Schmola says, Scotty, what's a better first car, 2000 Trans Am W6 automatic or a 2007 Mustang GT manual? The Mustang manual by far. The Trans Am 2000, that was one of the worst years of them. They were not very good, and it's the V6 automatic. Definitely the Mustang manual is a much better vehicle than that Trans Am. The 2000s, the Trans Ams were bleh, and the 6s were bleh too, so no, you definitely want to go with a Mustang for that if you want that as your first one. Ed China says, is this the real Ed China? I doubt it. But if it is, hi Ed, I loved your show. You were an honorable guy and left when they started the show. The new one stinks. He's asking, what do you think of these hydrogen fuel cell kits? They're a scam, you know, hydrogen fuel cell kits. They're trying to make water into hydrogen and then burning it in your car. The bonds between hydrogen and oxygen and water are so strong that breaking them into hydrogen and oxygen through electrolysis takes more energy from your car's electrical system than you ever get back burning the hydrogen. You know, now you could, an actual hydrogen fuel car, yeah, it's using hydrogen in a fuel cell and it turns it into electricity and has water vapor as a byproduct. Those actually work, but they're very complex. These ones where people say, oh, you can run your car on hydrogen by making electrolysis and burning hydrogen, that's nonsense. You have to generate the electricity with the alternator, and you use more energy generating electricity to make the hydrogen from water than you ever get burning the hydrogen in your car. Those are just a plain scam. Because if they worked, people would build cars that way. It's only common sense, you know. If somebody invents something that really works good for fuel and gas mileage, they'll sell it, believe me, because hydrogen burns cleaner than gasoline. They could bypass all the pollution laws just by burning hydrogen because it burns cleaner. Lucas says, can you drive a car with a clogged catalytic converter? Okay, good question. Depends on how clogged it is. Now, if a catalytic converter is really clogged up, your vehicle will only go to a certain speed. I've had people bring it to me, and they wouldn't go over 50 miles an hour, and you'd watch the temperature gauge, and instead of running like under halfway, they might run 3/4. Then you're going to have to change it out because it just won't run right. But if you got one of those codes that says inefficient catalytic converter, but it runs okay otherwise, and it goes whatever speed you want, I've had people drive them 10 years that way. It just depends on how it runs and how clogged up it is inside. If you really want to find out, you get a mechanic like me and you take out the oxygen sensor that's before the cat and put a pressure gauge on. And we can see how clogged up it is by how high the pressure is. And if the pressure's too high, then we'd say, no, it's too high. You're just going to have to change it out. None Yo Biz asks, what advice would you give someone who wants to start a Subaru-only repair shop? 1, make sure you're in an area where they sell a lot of Subarus. If you live in Colorado, in snow country, Maine, Alaska, those things are all-wheel drive and people love them in the snow. If you're in an area where there's a lot of Subarus, go right ahead. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. There's be a lot of them out there, and they break, they blow head gaskets, the automatic transmissions are garbage. You spend a lot of time fixing them, you know? You could make a good living fixing Subarus. If you're in an area where there's a lot of them. Here in Houston, Texas, they're not very big sellers. They're not that popular. But if you live in a place where it is, always check the market in the area that you live in. You know, like where I am, convertibles aren't that big because it's so hot. In the summer, we don't want to open our tops. It's hot and humid all the time. We're running air conditioning, so, you know, although I do see a lot of people riding around in their little convertibles where they got the top down, but then they have the air conditioner blowing full blast in their face, even with the top down.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.